What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back with another video, and today we're going to be discussing Mitch Marner once again. And there actually is some things to talk about, as Kyle Dubas has been doing like a mini media run, and it looks like hockey news is starting to ramp back up. A lot of media members are coming back from vacation, and it's looking more and more like more information is going to come out. Although there haven't been a ton of solidified updates, there have been some little bits and pieces of information that have come out that actually are considered new news. So basically, yesterday, Kyle Dubas talked with Bob McKenzie, a really good sit-down interview. Of course, Bob McKenzie, one of the best in the game. We heard Chris Johnston and Elliot Friedman both give their opinions over the last couple days on the Marner stuff. We also seen Darren Dreger say some stuff. Pierre LeBrun gave some good information. And Kyle Dubas also sat down with Tim and Sid. Basically, the consensus around the media right now is that a 3-year deal has been tabled. And the reason why that's significant is because this could either be a severe overpayment or a fair deal. Because it looks like the Toronto Maple Leafs and Mitch Marner are way too far apart on a long-term contract. So they're turning to a short-term bridge contract, like I said, and lots of other people have said that it would come down to. So the talk right now is that it would probably be 3 years. And the number that was floating around is $9.5 million per season. Now, a lot of Leaf fans and a lot of people that don't understand how the cap works or how a contract works, that would be a severe overpayment. The reason why is because if you look into numbers and you look out at how contracts work, the Leafs were thinking that the 9.5 would be, with more term to it. And I think a lot of people are misunderstood when they see that number and say, oh, wow, I thought they were looking for 13. That's a great deal. No, $13 million was the ask, for 8 years. The ask for a shorter term contract should be much less than that. And again, we're not sure if 13 was the exact ask, and that's exactly what they were looking for. But just to throw numbers out there that people have been saying over and over again, the Marner camp is looking for big numbers. At 3 years, the Leafs should be comfortable giving around 8.5, even though a lot of people would also say that that's an overpayment. For me personally, I'm predicting that if it was a 3-year deal, in a perfect world, and it's still not a good number, that the Leafs and Mitch Marner would settle on an $8.8 million deal per season for 3 years. So 8.8 every single year. But the problem with that is that when you look at the contract, that's still an overpayment. If it does come in at 3 years at 9.5, the Leafs will have very little wiggle room, and even at 8.8, they'll have very little wiggle room. And even with the LTIR usage of David Clarkson and Nathan Horton, they're still not really giving themselves that much space to maybe add an addition at the deadline or, make a corresponding move like sign a Jake Gardiner. If Marner comes in at somewhere around 8.5, then you're like, okay, maybe there's a little bit of room to move out a smaller contract, or maybe they swing for the fences and trade Cody Ceci to bring in Jake Gardiner. But it looks as though Cody Ceci might be playing with Morgan Riley at least to start the season, so that's not going to happen. So there's a lot of different possibilities, but if the deal reported at right now is that a 3-year deal has been tabled, but Kyle Dubas said numerous times, even yesterday or the day before, whenever these interviews were actually conducted, that they're open to any amount of term, that the Marner side has not been looking into offer sheets. They haven't been asking for a trade, but they want to stay in Toronto. And Kyle Dubas is the same way. I want Mitch Marner here. I want him to stay in Toronto. He's a fantastic hockey player. And, we want to get something done. Teams have been calling Dubas about a trade, and Dubas has been saying, listen, we don't want to do this. We don't want to have any sort of trade. We're not even remotely thinking about that. We want Mitch Marner to be a Toronto Maple Leafs for a very long time. And he also dug into some other stuff about why the William Nylander contract took so long, was because Nylander really wanted to stay long term, while the Leafs were thinking a bridge deal might speed things up, and Marner's camp or Nylander's camp was like, no, I want to be here long. I want to be here at least the next 4 or 5 years, so that's why it took a little bit longer. But Dubas has also come out and said that they should have handled that situation a little better. Dubas also mentioned that the Marner contract talks have been starting since 2018. They've been really trying to get this done for a long time. So it looks as though right now that both sides are kind of dug in at their number. One side really wants this big contract, where the other side is kind of like, okay, listen, we can do this short-term deal, but we can't give you all this money. We can make your contract structured so that way in year 3 when you want to go to salary arbitration, that the number starts at a ridiculous number, like it starts at $11 million, because the way that they have to structure the contract is it can be $9 million for season 1, season 2, season 3, but in season 3, there's a lot of different things that go into it, but in the last year of Marner's contract, he'll be going to salary arbitration, which means that whatever number he's getting paid is the number that the salary arbitration case would start at. So they want that third year to start at like $11 million. So that way Marner is going to be guaranteed big bucks in his next contract, which, to be honest with you, he'll deserve it at that point. A long-term big contract, the cap's going to go up like crazy. The NHL's got like new TV deals. They've got a new team that's going to be coming into the league. So they're going to be getting a lot of money in the coming years, and there probably will be a lockout. So that's going to, have some issues as well with what goes on. But there's a lot of different pieces that are starting to pop up in these Marner conversations that are actually starting to connect a little bit. A lot of people have been saying this is going to end up with a bridge contract. I still think they're going to get it done at camp. I think that Marner and his team want the big money, but they also don't want to see, Marner go through the same thing as William Nylander, especially if it's a short-term deal. They want Marner to be in there and playing and getting as many points as he can in those 3 years to make sure that he gets the big dollars in his next contract, which he will. Now, I think a lot of people have been very confused about my tweets and a lot of other Leaf fans' tweets and analysis over the Mitch Marner situation. I myself have said on this channel many times, the contracts that Marner's team is looking for are a severe overpayment. And a lot of people are like, well, look what Matthews got. Well, Matthews gave them a little bit more term, especially if this ends up at a 3-year deal. Matthews is giving them a little bit more term, although I still think that Matthews' contract is a little bit too much. But he plays center and he scores goals. And Dubas even said that their team looks at everything, and what they've seen from Matthews' game is that that's the money that they were comfortable giving him. The William Nylander stuff, guys, I don't think people understand. William Nylander is going to be fantastic this year, and he's getting paid under $7 million against the cap every single year. So that's going to be a steal of a contract by this coming season. Kevin Hayes has like a career high of like 45 points, and he's getting paid over $7 million per season. Like, guys, let's be honest here, and look at the age gap between the two. That Nylander contract is going to be fantastic. The Marner deal is going to be good in years to come, but right now that money is just too rich. Like, you can't consider a bridge contract to be, like, Marner would become the highest paid bridge contract player of all time. Like, he would get the most money out of any player in the history of the NHL on a bridge contract. Look at the Kucherov extension on the bridge deal. That was super cheap. And I know the taxes and everything like that, but guys, like, it doesn't make any sense for Marner to get paid $9.5 million on a 3-year deal. And getting back to my point, like, people are upset with me saying that he's going to be overpaid. Well, guess what? Like, I'm not just going to sit here and say, like, oh, it's all sunshine and rainbows. Like, guys, I literally have stuff of Mitch Marner hanging up. I've got more stuff behind this camera, like, that you can't see. Like, you guys have seen all my videos over time. You've seen my tweets. Mitch Marner is one of my favorite players that I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's only been like 2 or 3 years since he's joined the NHL and he's joined the Toronto Maple Leafs. I watched him in the OHL. I've studied him as a person. Like, he's a great person. He's a great player. I have nothing but love for him. But as a fan and, as somebody who likes looking at the cap and looking at numbers and to see, what players are worth, like, Mitch Marner is a fantastic hockey player. You can argue he's the best on the team. But he can't be getting severely overpaid just because you guys think he's a great guy. Like, that doesn't make any sense. He's a great hockey player. But for him to get paid that much money for less, for only 3 years, it doesn't make any sense. If this was a long-term contract and they had big numbers and they're like, we're going to do it at 8 years, then the money gets a little more complicated. And yes, there has to be a little more money involved. But on a bridge contract, on a short-term deal, you cannot tell me that Mitch Marner is going to make close to $10 million. That does not make sense. It's out of this world stupid. It doesn't make any sense. And I will support, no matter what this number comes out as, I'm a fan of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm going to cheer for Mitch Marner all year. And he'll still be one of my favorite players. But in the back of your head, you go, damn, like, that contract he's getting is kind of, it's kind of whack. Like, let's be honest here. It's not exactly great, but I'm still going to love him every single game. That's going to be at the back of my mind. I want him out there winning hockey games. So they're going to have to get this done, but they're not going to have to get it done if these dollars are still on the table. They need to have a 3-year contract that's meeting in the middle. That's something that's not a ridiculous number. In a perfect world, this has to be at $8 or $8.5 million. But like I said, if this goes to like 8.8, I mean, I guess you live with it. And then you can circle back, like Dubas said, and circle back to Gardner and see, you know, what's left for him, which would be like less than $3 million. But at that point, on a 1-year deal, maybe Gardner takes it. I don't know. But this is a Marner update. Again, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. This was just me giving my thoughts on some of the new information that has come out. If you're new, make sure to subscribe. I'd love to have more hockey conversations with you. Join the squad. Let's get to 7,000 subscribers. I appreciate all of you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video or stream. Peace.